nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fink? Here. Mr. Freeman? Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mrs. McKeon, she's here. Mr. Seibert?
Here.
Mr. Silver?
Here.
Mr. Tiff? Mr. Zaki?
Here.
And Mr. Bender?
Here.
Statement.
Mr. Stewart?
Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, the Open Public Meetings Act, Ms. Machado notified the public by notice of the date, time, location, and schedule of this meeting to the extent notice was provided over 30 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. By posting such notice of the public announcement board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices of the Lakewood Township Municipal Building. By mailing such notice to the officers of the Ungreen Park Press, Town News. By filing such notice to the board secretary. By mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of same.
Okay, we're a little out of order. Instead of the presentations right now, we're going to listen to the recognition of the public, and then we're going to vote to go into executive session. We must do some board business still. So I'd like to do recognition of the public in order to sign up. You have the list, Mr. Greenspan. Okay, the first one is Janice Bosky. Okay, so I'll go to the next sheet, when she comes back and do it. Derek Parker. Next one, Pastor Glenn Wilson.
Good evening.
Mr. President, I have some questions that I would like to, actually I would like to hand it out to all the board members. I recently requested a meeting and we did not get that meeting. These questions are questions that we still would like to see answers. So I'm going to give you the questions and I don't know how much time you will need to get back to me.
If you want us to answer it now within the 4 minutes, so maybe give out the questions after your 4 minutes. You don't lose your 4 minutes. We'll pass it out. I don't want you losing your 4 minutes. So we'll just pass it. Thank you.
My concern for not wanting to ask the questions here, Mr. President, is I do not want yes and no answers to these. These are things that I would really want you to take a look at and provide us with answers that are really thought through. Some of these things we already know the answers to, but you know, we would like to know how much does the board know about these things.
Okay.
So rather than taking up my time, just one more issue on the agenda. Page number 2, where it talks about the babysitting.
Yeah.
Is this actually saying that if if a person cannot get a babysitter within the busing route, they're not going to get these services?
I'll have Mr. Populous answer them,
Okay.
so we can get specific. We voted on the policy.
Reverend, did you want me to answer that now, or?
Yes, please.
Okay. What I've been asked to do is to bring a policy that's consistent with what most school districts do regarding babysitters. There is no state requirement for any type of accommodation to be made for transportation for babysitters. That is something that is provided by this district and any other district that has a babysitter policy above and beyond what's required by state mandate. I did speak to the Department of Education today to make sure that there has been no changes, that the laws are consistent with what I'm aware of. And in fact, it is exactly as I had expected. What we're asking on the babysitter policy is just to have some controls. Because the way it was done before in Lakewood is that basically a parent could choose a babysitter at any location, could move their child to a school based on the babysitter that they had, and then could transfer that child whenever necessary based on babysitter needs. And that created some situations that were negative for the board, negative for the educational process, and obviously were cost drivers for transportation. What I have on the agenda for tonight is basically a proposal that still provides parents with the opportunity to take advantage of a babysitter, but that the babysitter should be found within the sending area of the school that their child is scheduled to go to. And by doing that, they would be able to go on an existing route, not be a cost driver for the district. They would fill an empty seat on that bus, no cost again to the district, and they would go to school and come home to the babysitter location, and the parent could avail themselves of that situation. The only thing that's different with this policy as to what you had before is that it has to be within the sending area of the school that the child attends. And that is something consistent with what's done throughout the state.
I just want you to be mindful that in the transition that Lakewood is going through, it might be very well possible that some of our parents may not be able to find a babysitter within that area, and they have to find a babysitter way across town. And we do not want to inconvenience that parent from not being able to go to work because of this policy. So I just want you to be mindful that what works in other towns may not necessarily work in Lakewood. Lakewood is a total, totally different environment. So we need to be careful how we bring other plans that work elsewhere that may not very well work in Lakewood. People that used to live here no longer live here.
Okay, I think the important thing too is if the board wants to continue that, the board needs to know what the cost implications are for providing that level of service. And again, there is no state aid provided for this type of an accommodation, so the local taxpayer bears the full burden of this type of a policy. So that's why it's my responsibility was to present this. And again, what you see here, I think, is a reasonable approach. Parents, there are 4 elementary schools within Lakewood. Within those sending areas of those schools, there typically are people that can provide some level of care, whether it's a daycare center, whether it's an individual, whether it's a family member, whether it's somebody that is providing care for some other children. There usually is some method that people can find within that area. What I think was unusual about the way it was being done in Lakewood is that they actually the babysitter is the one that determined what school the child would go to. And if that changed, then the child would change. And from my point of view, as a parent and as somebody that's been involved in Board of Education in another town, I found that to be somewhere like the cart was leading the horse, that the child's education process should be dictated. There should be a consistency of a school, and that the babysitter that's there should be a babysitter within this school sending area, so that that child was going to have a continuity of their education from kindergarten through 6th grade. And again, this is for the board's consideration, and I did have to present it, and I also wanted to let the board know what the financial implications were for continuing the old policy and for going to this particular policy.
Additionally, Mr. Wilson, I called up the State Education Department today just to find out, and one of the things that was very clear, and it was made very clear to one of our supervisors 2 months ago, or over 2 months ago, was that the only children that the state education looks upon that can be moved to another school are children who are either classified or children who are second language learners. But every other child has to be within their home school. Hence, that's why we're proceeding with this.
Okay. Finally, Mr. President, I don't know how long it will take for you to get these answers back to me, but I'm willing to wait the time about it.
Okay.
You know, value to get these answers. Thank you very much.
Janice Bosky.
Bosky, Lakewood Education Association. I stand before you with a broken heart as I look at this agenda and see so many of the great staff we have resigning. This is our second round, and something is wrong here. We have a teacher of the year leaving. We have a teacher who's been in this district 17 years, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. 17 years in the district, tenured, being accepted in another district, being able to take her sick days with her, and they're willing to wait 60 days if you hold her to her contract. And other teachers, the same thing is happening to them. They call me up and they cry. They don't want to leave. She didn't want to leave. She said, I can't take it anymore. She said, I have a blue ribbon panel coming to my door from the Straight Department telling what I do is wonderful, the modifications I made for my students. And then I have a district consulting firm and some other people last year from the district coming and telling her, you're not in the framework. No, this is not right. We got to get back in the framework. We are teachers. We are professionals. We will grow. We do accept what goes on in our framework, but we do have the background and the professionalism to know modifications and changes need to be made, and we need the freedom to do that. And that's why many of our teachers are leaving also. Obviously, there are failing schools, but there are many underlying reasons why schools fail. So I'm telling you, if we're looking at our teachers, other districts around us are snapping them up, and they don't have any problem with the teachers coming from Lakewood. Whatever we did last year didn't work. It really didn't. We're tired. I don't want to have to tell my staff to read the Art of War, chapters 2 and 6. I don't want to have to tell them that consultants don't appreciate what they do. We don't want to always have to be prepared to fight. We know what we need to do. We need to be collaborative. We're tired of people standing at our door saying, nope, not right, and tired of saying, you're not good enough. I had the pleasure of meeting with Mrs. Silva on Tuesday. We had an excellent conversation. She told me changes were going to be made, that the past is the past, and we look forward to good things in the future. I told her we're ready for that. We're ready to do our best to maintain the high goals and expectations. But there's a wake-up call here for us. I really think the board and everyone here needs to look. We need consistency of staff and programs. We need communication in a timely manner for all of us. We need collaboration. When units are studied or given, that there's teacher input and collaboration, and our thoughts are respected. We need care and concern for one another on all parts, and for the quality of life for our students, our parents, and our staff. We need to enrich the lives, yes, of our students and of our faculty. And last of all, we need a contract to do it all.
Derek Parker? Bill Hoffman? Derek? Sorry.
Hey everybody, I'm not speaking into the microphone because I don't want to get a little interference. Okay, Ms. Raleigh, can you cut that off? Thank you very much. Okay, I got a phone call from Kames, the guy I work with, to come here and speak about Save Our Youth Symposium. It's an event that we're doing next month, September 11th, and it's kind of like a back-to-school night sort of thing, but we're doing it all day long, just trying to get the kids to come out, give away some supplies. Everybody has a great time, but we just want for everybody to just come together and just, you know, enjoy going back to school. You know, we want everybody to have the supplies that they need to get ready, and, you know, we just want to help give back and everything like that. As a matter of fact, I have flyers to pass out to people, which I'll do in a second. And I briefly want to talk about this. This is the Real Deal magazine. Everybody get a good look at it. This is a concept that Kames thought up in April, and we didn't take him seriously about it until May, so sorry about that. But the people who were working on it, along with me, they kind of left what we were doing, and so I decided to do it on my own. And we produced one for July, we produced one for August, and we're working on the one for September and October now. It's going to be released maybe a month, maybe every 2 months, and it's basically just something to raise awareness for teenagers about drugs, bullying, gangs, all that stuff. And it's for little kids as well. We're going to be selling it to the libraries, to students, teachers, schools, everybody, and we want this to become something that goes from being local to expanding to further counties, statewide, and if we do this right, it could become something national within the next few years, and I say that because this thing has been moving very fast since we started. A lot faster than it should be. It's only $2, and you know what? I'll pass it around if everybody wants to look through it.
I have a question. Sorry.
Can I say one, please?
Derek, is that a program possibly that's something that could be started as far as a student council in the high school or middle school?
Well, I'm not exactly sure if you can call it a council, but the same program.
I mean, form a council for that program.
I think you could. I'd have to talk to Kames about that, but I think you could form a council for it. Also, who said they wanted one?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. And we're quiet September 11th.
Okay. Now, the magazines are $2 a piece. The flyers are obviously free. But here we go. Yes, I will.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So, do you have the location of this event?
Yeah, so the location of the event is all on the flyer. It's at the corner of Cedar Bridge, over by Martin Luther King Drive. It's that baseball field right there. And like I said, it's on September 11th. So, and it starts at 11 a.m. I don't know when it's over. I think it's over in between the hours of 6 and 8.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of success. Bill Hoffman, please.
Did you guys get them? He was just trying to
Good evening,
President, Board.
Hello. 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 How are you?
I'm fine. At last month's meeting, we talked about grants and the approval thereof. And the superintendent at that time was going to be ordering textbooks for the schools. Have we done that? Is it well on the way? And will we have sufficient time for this year's school year?
Yes, we have orders, the principals have put in their orders, and most of them will be coming in. There will be some that are more difficult to get. Science exams are a little more difficult. They may be a few weeks later. But we have ordered textbooks. And we ordered a whole new set of textbooks for the middle school, a program called Connected Math. And that was, I believe, okay. So we're going to be launching that as well.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. And with the grant, are we, I think it would be $2 million for this school year as the first payment if we continue to do well. Have we received that money and have we made the investment into the computer equipment that will be necessary for that?
At this point, we're at pre-implementation for the SIG grant, and the plans for the technology have started. And but we officially start with SIG September 1st.
So you don't get the money until then, or?
No, we don't get a dime because then, I'm sorry, because we have to have certain things in place. In fact, the principal had to go to an institute that lasted 2 weeks. And after that, we just went to a meeting last Thursday with the state education department officials to talk about any modifications and any questions they had with regard to the grant and how we're going to implement it. So we're really in the stages, and they call that meeting a pre-certification meeting. So in terms of that, we don't immediately get the money.
So is it safe to believe that we will not institute that program in this school year? We get funding this year for next year?
One of the things that when we had when we were going for the grant, one of the things that the whole committee kept saying, and many of those members are here, is that we would implement the program to the degree that we could, whether we got the program or not, rather the grant. We did get the grant, so we are going full course ahead.
But exactly when do you expect to get the money? Is that September, October, November, December?
Mr. Gilson is here. We'll have to, in terms of the actual money going in?
Yeah, actually what we do is we cannot receive the money until after the pre-certification is done. We have to submit something to the state based on the modifications that we talked about last week that they actually had with us. We can't actually spend any of the money until after September 1st. Our plan is, and the state's encouraging us to make sure that we try to spend money within the first 2 months, so that what we do is the students can actually benefit from those things for the full entire school year. So that's the
Do we know exactly the equipment that we want to acquire? And where we might acquire that from?
One of the emphasis of the grant is going to be to upgrade the technology, so that Mr. Gilson, his committee, as well as our Mr. Trishetta are working on those orders. The last time we met, we discussed some parts of it, but if you want more specifics, Mr. Gilson and or Mr. Trishetta can share with you. Or at the next meeting, we can delineate everything.
I see. Thank you.
What are your best one?
It's not fixed.
All right.
Thank you.
And then Tony?
To piggyback on what Pastor Glenn, he gave you all the list of the questions. The questions for the public will also be posted, so everyone will know the questions, and we're all expecting the answer. And if someone could tell us when the next board meeting is, that would be a great time for the board to answer the question. The questions for the public could be, will be up online. give us till tomorrow morning. LakewoodUnite.org, and we'll have them listed in its entirety. So,
The board meeting is September 15th.
So September 15th. Looking at the agenda and also listening to Ms. Bosky, we do see that a lot of teachers have left voluntarily or involuntarily. My question is, are all those positions filled, and are we ready to start school, first day of school, with full staff? Because if we recall, last year, we were still transferring and doing all these things at the last minute. So in addition to contracts, in addition to curriculum, we need to know if all these positions are filled and how will it affect the students in their learning environment. Also, even outside of the high school, we've been talking about having a parent portal on the website so parents can keep track of anything that the teachers want to post, whether it's the grades, the assignments, whatever it is. Where are we at with that? And this has nothing to do with the SIG grant, it has to do with the entire district. And actually that's it.
Very happy to report and conferring with with our principals as well as the Department of HRS. Spruce Street is at 100% filling the vacancies. Clifton is at 100%. Clark is at 100%. Oak is at, our Clark is, with the exception of administrators. Oak is 100%. The middle school is at 100%. The Lakewood High School is at 98%. So we will be able to move forward, as you indicated. With regard to the parent portal, we're all interested in having that, very interested in having all that information. We've begun that, and I think to answer you more with details, Mr. Turchetta, could you share with her?
Basically, the parent portal, it's two pieces. One is a portal into grades and attendance. The other is a portal into the website. The website is going to be funded through E-Rate. E-Rate normally releases funds in late August, early September. So until we get the funding in-house, we pay for the new website and fix the portal. The portal for real time will be a district initiative. The first initiative will be to get the grades into real time before we move forward with the parent portal. So some of the pieces are in place. It's great for the funding for the website and for the grades to be ready for
So all of the funding that we're waiting on, by the end of September, we should know where we are with funding, correct? So you said end of August, beginning of September.
right. Normally, E-rate funding comes out in September, but it's state controlled, so.
Yes, Ben Rush.
Glad to hear, Ms. Silver, that most of the students and percentages that you just quoted, that sounds good. There's only one element that hasn't been, one thing that has not been done yet. Do you think it might be possible that you guys are going to work diligently to make sure that our teachers have a contract before they go back to work?
My greatest wish.
So you guys are diligently working on it to make sure that it happens,
I
right?
believe the board is.
I don't know why it's taking this long. I think that maybe you just want to see a lot of teachers here every time you have a meeting, but that's not important. But this is for the for Gus, man. On page 2 about the babysitting, is there a distance that you will travel to accommodate people?
The driver for the policy that's being proposed is within the boundaries. So whatever the boundary is for the school, a parent could find a babysitter location anywhere within the boundary for that particular school. So if the child attends the Clark school, any sending home in Clark that a babysitter lived at would be acceptable. what we're trying to get a handle on is we've been crossing boundaries for years, and I have been trying to track what the costs were for what we were doing, and there wasn't even a way to track it. It hasn't been tracked. There were routes that were created specifically to accommodate the overloads that were created by babysitters, and it's just something that we don't have a handle on. What I proposed still provides parents with an outlet for babysitters. It exceeds what the state requires. It just gives us a little control so that we can have a handle on our costs. And I spoke to about 5 parents today. When they understood the whole picture, I think they had a clearer picture of that. We weren't saying no to babysitters. We were simply saying try to find a babysitter within the sending area of your school. And if they do that, we can get a handle on this. We can provide a level of service that parents need, but we can also do it without increasing the cost of the transportation services that the district has.
And maybe you could tell me on that side, about when young people have internships and they go and work at, say, the Chateau, and these are young people coming from predominantly Orthodox schools. You don't bust them in and go back and pick them up after school.
No, if they get that service, it might be something the school itself is paying for. But I think a lot of people have to realize that the private schools do, in fact, contract buses on their own for a lot of the services they receive. What I provide for them is the state mandated to and from school that's covered under Title 18A.
So you don't go and take them location X and then go back and pick them up and bring them home at 6 or 7 o'clock?
The level of service I provide to the non-public schools is transportation from their home to their school, from their school back to their home.
So the only other thing that I've noticed in driving around is the inordinate amount of children that we have anyway. And it's been said that this board is actually working on trying to close, or at some point in time, get rid of Clifton Avenue School. So what I am proposing, before we get rid of another school like we did in Clifton Avenue, that those things are utilized, even if it's utilized by you guys here, that we don't have to pay this subordinate amount of rent and for cleanup. But we should use it, we own that building, we should take advantage of it and not give it or sell it to anyone.
We have 800 students. I can't see. Where are we going to put 800 students?
Well,
we're not.
There's a faction that's trying to do it, and we'll leave it at that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Princeton Avenue was not a school, it was an administration building, so they calculated. 1 second, it was not a school when it was sold. It was in Princeton Avenue School, it was not a school for children. It was rented out for non-public on the bottom, upstairs administration. They sold for $6.5 million. At $6.5 million, they were able to find something a lot less expensive and cheaper to go and rent a place such as this. Clifton Avenue School, I believe, is a real school building with 800 children. Whoever said that, I've been at this board quite often. I've heard people get up to the mic and say, you know, I've heard a rumor that the high schools on Somerset is being sold. That's a rumor, middle school being sold. I don't know who creates these rumors, but I can tell you, I can tell you that I've never heard that, as other than on the mic, you know. But I've never heard it ever mentioned to me, you know, synagogue or in my place where I work. Nothing. You heard you selling? Is it true? Is it true? That's what people sometimes ask me. It's really an untruth. I believe it's just a rumor that people like to spread because it's impossible. We have enough trailers, like you say, that we're busting at its seams. Why would we sell a building with 800 children that what trailers out there?
We did it with Princeton Avenue.
When? But non-public. But when it was a school, what, 30 years ago, 20 years ago? I don't know. But it was a school. I don't remember it being a school. I wasn't here then. So Princeton Avenue School, how many, I don't know, many years ago, I agree. But then we went down to 5,000. So then we are able to fill up the Somerset, Oakville High School, Clark, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I really don't, I highly doubt there's any validity to that rumor that we want to sell. school building, which has 800 students. So really,
Additionally, I'm very happy that hopefully the board will approve today. We are going to have, and I want everyone to hear this, we're going to have a community-based clinic there in collaboration with the Ocean Health Institute. And so we will be having a small health clinic to provide services for our students and the community. So I'm very pleased about that, and therefore another reason why, you know, we can't, it would be just add another reason why we have to maintain our school. We've made an agreement with the state and the people who are taking this grant.
Well, thanks for the answers.
through the chair. Yes, please. Go back to the closed session.
How many parents actually took advantage of that babysitting? Last year was 240.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session. A roll call, discussion, roll call. Aye. We have no time. No, that's why we did public first. So if someone really needs to go, they can do it.